Hi guys, welcome back to Planet Therapy. This is a space where we have casual conversations surrounding work-life balance, self-love and empowerment. And today we're joined with my big sis, Kay Amoah, and just welcome to the platform.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's okay. It's different because I feel like I help her out of her podcast. She has a wellness brand. She's a wellness coach. And I just want it to be really good to have her, just to understand her perspective on just how she got to where she is, really. So, okay.
Okay.
Let's start off, just understanding a bit about your journey, a bit about your brand, and just, who you are.
Okay, so I'm Kay. Am I speaking to you?
You're speaking to me?
Okay, great. So, as you know, I'm Kay. I have a skincare brand called Kiya Cosmetics. I launched in September 2019. That has evolved. So initially, it was supposed to be more hair care focused, and we've pivoted since into more of the skincare space. Off the back of the brand, we launched a podcast at the start of this year, Kiya Convos, and that's just a space for all things wellness, self-care, empowerment, and I've really enjoyed having those conversations. So that has naturally developed into me doing more events and just being more involved intentionally with our community. So that looks like for us the podcast, the events, pop-ups, and just delivering great products as well, of course. So yeah, that's who I am, what I do.
No, great. Thanks for sharing. Obviously you started on the business from 2019, so it's really good that you've been consistent, I guess, just from those years, because it can be a lot to maintain. Has its ups and downs, but you did a thing. I guess going from circling back to that, like from 2019 and then to now, how was it just in general, just actually building yourself a business, building yourself a brand, and just trying to like make yourself known within the presence of like beauty products and stuff like that?
It's been a challenge. So when we initially launched, I was on maternity leave. So prior to that, I worked as an executive assistant at a major bank, in the corporate office, of course. So I was on maternity leave. I had left there. It was a 1-year contract. I was on maternity leave, and I thought, I have this passion. At that time, I was documenting my hair journey on YouTube. I was showing how I created like the body butters and things like that. So I thought, okay, I'll just take a chance and see if it can sell. I think looking back now in hindsight, I didn't take it as seriously as I should have, but that was purely because it was just on a whim. It was like, never know, let's see what happens. To my surprise, it did well, and a lot of people bought into the brand. I've always been very interested in branding, so I always knew like I wanted to look a certain way and feel a certain way. I wanted it to look bigger than it was, which may have hindered me, I'm thinking now, but that's just what my desire was and my vision. We did really well lockdown, so we were one of those lockdown brands that lockdown kind of worked in our favor in terms of people are at home. I was showing up online, so people were seeing us. It was a lot more visibility, and in turn we had a lot more sales. So I took on an office, I took on staff, and I tried to create the environment that I felt I didn't have working in corporate. So we would have music playing. I would have cereal in the office, bowls for them to come in and just have their cereal before they work, and they could play whatever they wanted on music wise. And I just tried to have, be intentional about having an open space. They could talk to me about things. We had a good time. We had a good laugh. Maybe we should have been a bit more serious, but we had a good time. And then when the world sort of opened back up, then I found that sales weren't doing so much because we weren't able to be as visible. There was that iOS shift, so ads weren't performing the way they were in 2020, 2021 at all. They were very expensive, so I just locked them off completely. I got to a crossroad where it was like, either put a lot more into ad spend and then see the same return as before, or just give it up. And I chose to give it up. I didn't want to invest heavily into ads because I thought, we'll just maintain the customers that we have. Which was okay for a point. It then became quite clear when I had given up the office and brought everything back home that it wasn't the same. I felt like a bit of a failure. I felt like it's gone from being this business that just came out of nowhere. It did well. We got stopped by Urban Outfitters.
Okay.
And all of that. We were everywhere at one point, and then it's like crickets.
Yeah.
I'm just here trying to fulfill orders on my own. Everything's handmade. I made up all the formulas, so I'm just slaving away, whipping shit up at home.
Okay.
So I went for a period of like depression in terms of, and just not knowing what to do or how to move forward. So at that time, I went back into corporate for just over a year. You wouldn't know by online. Obviously, I made it seem like I was still maintaining the brand full time. Because again, I wanted the brand to seem like it was bigger than it was. So I went back into full-time work as a PA, and it was intense trying to balance both. And then I was just reminded that you didn't enjoy this atmosphere at all. Like, I was like, okay, yeah, this really isn't for me. Because I think at a point I thought I was very open to saying, if I enjoy this place, this work environment, maybe I was open to giving up the brand and just going into corporate full time. But I didn't, and I missed just being creative and being free. So I left that place after about a year and a half. The company was really good, by the way. It was a very, very good company to work for. Everyone was fine. It just didn't suit me personally. Yeah. And so I left there, and then ever since I've just been refocusing the brand, working on being more intentional about how we show up. I've refined the product line recently, so I took away like 9 products and family size just to make it work a bit better, a lot easier for me. And like I said, the podcast and the events. So I'm having a good time. I'm having fun at the moment.
No, that's the main thing, and I'm glad to hear it, because it feels like even just listening to you, there's lots of ups and downs, and obviously you know, hearing a bit of it, your brother, so like, privy to some of that. It's like, it's different when you can just acknowledge the fact that things wasn't as intentional as you wanted it to be, especially at the beginning, especially going through lockdown and just all the different trials of the work situations and stuff as well. I guess, what things didn't you find worked for you that you wanted to change within your own work environment when you had that office? So you mentioned a lot where the reason why corporate wasn't really working for you at that point is because you didn't feel comfortable. So what was it that wasn't making you feel that was like, okay, this is where I want to be, to have that shift?
So the things that made me feel uncomfortable in corporate was just, there weren't many people that looked like me, spoke like me, were into the things that I'm into at all. In fact, I was the only me on my team. I think the first place that I worked, the bank, there were a couple of aunties that I would just be with, go to lunch with, but over the course of that year, they all got their none of them had their contracts renewed, so they all left. So by the time I left, I was the only one. And I was just so into myself. I wouldn't speak to anyone. I just felt so isolated. And then I experienced similar things at the last place. I tried to like put myself out there, speak to people, but it's like when you're constantly seeing people grouping up and going to lunch and you're never invited, it just gets really old very quickly. And then obviously you don't want to seem like you're being anti, or I don't want to say aggressive, but like just antisocial. I'll say that. But then it's like, you guys don't interact with me. If I don't walk over to you, to your desk, to say hello,
there's no conversation.
I could literally go for a whole day of not speaking to anybody apart from my manager. And even him, he was very, very busy, so he was barely at his desk. And then it was just awkward. It's like the same conversations. How's the kids? Yeah, they're fine. How's the husband? Yeah, he's fine. And that's it. Nothing deeper. Not, what are you up to? And just those little microaggressions, like conversations around my hair. So I came in with cane rows and I was told I looked like a track athlete, and it's just like, really?
What?
It's like, really?
That's the first thing. Like,
and then when I made like I was like, what? Like my face obviously showed confusion. And then you see their face go bright red, and then you feel like you have to appease them. It's like, oh no, it's just cane rows. It's just tiring.
Uncomfortable. No, that makes sense. And I guess that's why I'm just glad to hear that you're actually having fun now, because you're turning it into a brand that is like, it's fun, it's creative, and it makes you feel like inviting to all sorts of cultures and people. So I guess within that, just as you go about in your day to day, especially within your being an entrepreneur, you're a black woman, like quite successful within your business, how do you find navigating spaces between, let's say, like other entrepreneurs or anything like that, or just within yourself, making yourself feel comfortable, just within your brand and just with everything that's going on?
That's interesting, because I felt that prior to 2022, so I left the office in January 2022, and prior to that point, I was quite active. I would go to events, I would go to pop-ups, I would make sure, I would scour like Eventbrite for pop-ups that we could go and attend and things like that. So after 2022, when I felt burnt out and just down and depressed, I didn't attend events. I didn't go to anything up until I think summer last year is when I did my first pop-up again. So that was 2 years later. So for 2 years, I was totally invisible. I was not going up to any events or anything. And then doing the pop-ups, it was like, okay, interacting with customers or just the general public, you know, making them aware of the brand. But it wasn't until this year, February, that I went to my first like event where it's like I'm interacting with people, peers in my space, and things like that. So that's been interesting, because I think from the first event I went to now, I think I've been to 5 now. The difference is very, very visible to myself. I the first one, I was a mute. I barely wanted to speak to people. It was just felt so uncomfortable. It was new almost. It was so different just being around so many people, and it's like, oh yeah, how do you small talk, or how do you not sell yourself, but how do I explain what I do, and you know, in a way that shows that I'm also doing something. I felt very, I guess imposter syndrome was a thing for me, and that's something I'm unlearning. But now I'll go to an event and I'll be like, okay, cool, I know I want to speak to that person. So I go with questions in mind, and I'm just very open, and I've learned to just have fun, just enjoy the process. You're here now, so just have conversations with as many people as possible. I think the podcast has helped as well, in terms of, you know, being able to just speak to people that you haven't necessarily met before and have really good conversations and get to know people in a short space of time. So yeah,
that's cool. I feel like enjoy it, because I feel like, similar to you, I've gone to like events for the first time, I'd say this year or like end of last year, and I feel like going by myself, I was like, oh my god, there's actually so many people like me in this space, and it's like coming from work environments where I'm very few of that, and it's like similar to you, just feeling uncomfortable, feeling a bit like, okay, do I belong here? So that imposter syndrome was loud, and I think being a part of the spaces where I felt like there are people like me, or there's professionals that are even higher up, it was just good to just have a conversation with them to understand how do they manage certain things and stuff like that. So, and as time went on, I felt a lot more comfortable. So it's good to hear that you're in a space now where it's like you're open to sort of networking events. Would you like go to more eventually like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I love events. I'm a very social being. I feel like that's part of myself that has been shut away for so long. Now I'm like, ooh, I want to go enjoy. I'm having more events. I'm just so excited. Like, I actually really can't wait to just interact with like-minded women, have certain conversations. So yeah, I'm a social being.
Good. Okay. And taking a step back, you've mentioned key things where it's like, okay, you have dealt with imposter syndrome, a bit of depression, and a bit of like feeling like you don't really belong in those spaces, and it's great you create a brand for yourself to kind of just take control and ownership to then make sure you're good in those spaces. I guess aside from that, how do you deal with it? Like, how are key things that makes you deal with, okay, feeling a bit stressed, especially with like your skincare brand, get the products out, you're making them yourself, and just interacting with so many different types of people as well and customers?
So for me, I deal with it by dealing with it. So I'm someone who I like good vibes most of the time, and I like positive energy. So if I've gone through a situation, I think I've said this to you before, I will give myself a day to be sad. And I'm like, you are going to be sad. You are going to feel everything. All the negative emotions, just bask in it. Like, just take it on. Embrace it. And then you're going to deal with it. And then tomorrow you don't have time to be sad. So whatever you need to do to be okay, this is your allotted time to be okay. Does it always work? No, but it works most of the time.
Okay.
I journal, so I find that I'm in my head a lot. I have a lot going on in my head. So I like to get it out as often as possible. And I do that by journaling and having conversations. So I speak a lot. If I go through something, I have to share it at least 3 times. So I'll tell my husband, Patrick. I'll tell you. I'll tell my sister-in-law. And then if it's really just not quite out, I'll tell my mum. And then I'll be like, okay, cool. Like, you've got it out your system.
Yeah.
Cool. You can move on. So I think it's just about knowing what works for you. So I've trial and errored different things. I've recently tried like going to the park and having peace at the start of my day after the school run. I enjoy that, but only when it's warm. So yeah.
No, it's so funny because I literally remember, because me and you really hated nature.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do flyers and creepy crawlies and stuff. So it's literally like a walk in the park. I'll sit on the bench as long as there's nothing on the bench.
Nothing on the grass there.
But I like looking out and seeing the grass and seeing the trees. And my park has like these little ducks waddling around. I like looking at it. It makes me very peaceful. So sometimes I'd even drive to the park and just sit in the car and just look out and be protected in the car from the elements.
No, good. That's cool. And it's something that you've even encouraged me to do a lot more, just going into nature walks and stuff like that. So thank you for that. Taking a slight gear shift. Obviously you mentioned you do podcasts as well, where you teach about, let's say, wellness, and obviously you have a wellness brand when it comes to skincare and stuff like that. So what actually made you take that approach to actually focus on like, okay, well-being in general?
I've just entered a season where I'm all about storytelling, sisterhood, wellness, and intentional conversations.
Yeah.
So I thought that naturally that's something that I enjoy, and I think I'm good at drawing things out of people. And because you can have conversations, but I think it's different to have a prolonged conversation where it's like you're kind of navigating how it flows and having it come across in a way that can reflect well to others, that they can also get something from the conversation. And I found that it's just something that I'm naturally good at. Yeah. So I just wanted to lean into that a bit more. Like I mentioned, I was on YouTube for a few years, documenting my journey, doing some blogging and stuff like that. But it's something that I had always wanted to do even back then, have interview style conversations. So I just thought I'll take the leap because it just matched the season that I'm in. I felt drawn to trying to convey those topics in a way that was different for me up until this point. So I found the conversation. I love hearing people's stories as well. So yeah, that's why I decided to just lean into it. And by the grace, it's working. It's going well. And then, like I mentioned, off the back of that, the events as well. I love just seeing people come together and have a good time. Even if it's just for a few hours, it makes such a big difference. So again, just providing space to do that. I find that it's difficult to find events, especially for people of my age, like mid-30s. It's hard to get to know people at this age, especially when you have kids, a family, you're just busy, if it's work or your own business. It's hard to like meet up with like-minded people because you can have your group of friends, but you're not necessarily on the same page in terms of interests all the time. So to just be around people that your interests align, I find really, really good. So yeah, that's something I want to give back to our community and use that in turn to grow our community as well.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I guess as you go on this whole wellness journey and you've had a lot of conversations with certain people, is there, let's say, a key story that's struck with you that's kind of like helped you just develop your journey, I guess, with self-care and well-being?
So funny enough, I just recorded a video just doing reflections on the different conversations that I've had with guests up until this point. I can't say there's any one conversation, but common themes throughout a few of them were like advocating for yourself, showing up for yourself, being authentic in what you're doing, which I'm definitely leaning into now. I'd say those things, but I've got so much from every single conversation. I've definitely gleaned something from each guest that's come on because every story's been unique. They've all brought something different, something fresh, a different, conversation. So I can't say any one particular thing.
No, that's fair, and that makes a lot of sense. Again, just shifting a bit of a direction. I like doing that. It's fun.
Oh my god.
So some of it's spoken already. Like you're a business owner, you make your own products, you have a wellness brand where you do podcasts, and you also host events. You're also a wife. You also have kids.
Yes.
It's a lot.
It is.
How do you manage that? How do you find a way to just stay productive amongst like all those different areas of your life to make sure that you're showing up and being your authentic self whilst also not feeling too overwhelmed and just managing your day to day?
I feel like I feel overwhelmed all the time.
All the time. That's real.
No, so I often say that I don't believe in balance because it's impossible, especially when you wear so many hats. I wear way too many hats for anything to be balanced. It's just, there's no point in trying. But I just lean into what I like to say. I go with what's shouting the loudest at the time. So it just means being intentional about prioritizing things, and those priorities can change on a day-to-day basis. So the kids are on holiday at the moment, so I've got a bit more time and flexibility when it comes to getting orders out. For example, usually I have a very strict time schedule as to when everything needs to be boxed up and ready to go. But now it's like, oh, okay, you know, I don't have the school run, so I can start a little bit later, finish a bit later, and spend a bit more time being with them, because obviously they're stuck. I don't want them to be just stuck at home every single day for 2 weeks. Other times it's like, okay, we've got this event coming up, so I need to make sure my products are ready for the event. I need to make sure the workshop is on point. I know what I'm saying, I know what I'm doing, the presentation's together. So at that time, I may not have as much time to spend additionally with the kids or watching movies and stuff with them. So it just shifts. It depends on what is a priority at the moment. I do try to be intentional about our dinner time. So we all have dinner at the same time, for the most part, and it's usually 6:30. So I know that by 5, okay, cool, you need to stop what you're doing, start making dinner, so that it's ready at an appropriate time, and we can all have dinner together. So that's like my time carved out, and then once that's all done, I'll probably just hop on the laptop and be on the laptop with Patrick, both of us working into the wee hours of the night. But that's how we bond. You know, we have laptops open whilst watching Netflix. So
that makes sense. You briefly mentioned how you said you don't believe in balance, but it's so funny because I feel like you also have an organized routine that kind of makes sure that you handle different priorities of your life. So if I was to ask you, what does work-life balance mean to you to kind of maintain that? I feel like it is quite subjective. I feel like everyone thinks that you must spend 50% of your time elsewhere, but like you just said, it's impossible to maintain that. So to you, what would you say is like work-life balance, or a sort of mantra or frame that you have in your head to make sure that you have a balance that works for you in your life?
Like I said, it's whatever's screaming the loudest. At the moment, that's how I have to operate. It's like, this is a top priority right now. So may not be the healthiest, but at the moment it works for me, and it's how I know that, okay, this needs to be done. And I think it does take a skill, because it's like you can just continue going thinking this is the priority, I need to focus on the brand all the time and get the products out as soon as possible. But it's like, no, your children need you now, or your husband needs you now, or even within the business. So it's like, I was very intentional again about focusing on the podcast in Q1 because it's like, it's new, this is the priority. I want people to know that the podcast is out there, I need to get guests in, etc. I think now that it's like established, I've got the routine down, that's not my priority. I'm not spending hours a day, you know, trying to find future guests and things like that. I feel like I've got a good rhythm for it. So now it's like, okay, I want to be focused on the event side of things. So now I'm like, okay, what events do you want to do for the rest of the year? I've just had the retreat with Bodied by XO, so that's kind of how I'm also working. I'm trying to do quarter to quarter, have a main overarching theme or focus point, and then within that balance.
Okay, no, thank you. Okay, that makes sense. And it's like, you have a balance that works for you, isn't it? So that's what makes sense. A balance. And I guess finally, what sort of advice would you give to those that are like maybe thinking about even starting up their own business, or like they're finding that, let's say, corporate work isn't working for them, like just to make them feel a bit more comfortable within themselves and find that empowerment?
I would say if you have a good corporate job, don't leave it until you've tested your proof of concept and you can see that it's working. Like I said, when I started Kiya, I was on maternity leave, so you had
a bit more time.
Yeah. But a lot of people, I've seen people that have just left their jobs, gone all in on entrepreneurship, and it's not quite worked out, or it's taken a lot longer to get off the ground than they'd hoped. For me, 6 months in, we were in lockdown and we were making good money. So, but you can't replicate that.
Yeah.
People aren't just going to be at home looking online for things to buy. So, especially in this economic climate with things are just
not aligning.
People have less money. Get what you can. Keep that income, that constant income flowing as long as possible. But go all in with what you want to do as well. Lean into your passion, lean into your strengths, and don't be afraid to show up online. That's something that I've taken on board as well. I wasn't that visible as a founder for the last few years, and I've been making a point to show up more online as well. And I think it definitely does make a difference when people see who's behind the brand. So even if it's like you're just starting your journey, document yourself starting the journey. Show yourself finding clients, or just show the process, because a lot of people like to see that, and that's you sharing your story without trying too hard, without thinking, I need to sit down and do content. You can just naturally show the story and then go for it.
It sounds quite authentic, very genuine. But thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it. I feel like in this chat, even obviously I know I'm your brother, but I feel like it's so interesting to learn a bit more about your journey and a bit more just how you navigate different things. So I feel like life does throw you a curveball half the time.
It does.
So I feel like learning how to just get zen, know when to just take yourself out, and know that you can just test different things and trial new things. It is a skill, and I'm definitely proud of you for doing those sort of things,
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So this comes to the end of our podcast episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Kay, where can we actually find you?
So you can find me on Instagram, Kay_Amoah. You'll put it on the screen.
I'll put it on
or something.
It'll be tagged.
And then my brand Kiya Cosmetics is Kiya_Cosmetics. We're Kiya Cosmetics official on YouTube and all podcasts if you want to check out Kiya Convos as well.
Great. Thank you for sharing. And you can find Planet Therapy across all social platforms. You can find my LinkedIn, Marcus Johnson. And let's just continue the conversation going on. If you have any comments, any feedback, or just anything that you just feel like resonated with you, just, feel free to just message either me or Kay. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and peace.